Good morning and welcome to NADA Live. I'm Jonathan Colleggio here with the 2018 NADA Chairman Wes Lutz and NADA President and CEO Peter Welch. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining us. Wes, this is a big day for you. Without giving away too much about what you're going to talk about in your speech, can you kind of give us an idea, and the members of NADA broadly, kind of the focus of your chairmanship and the vision for your chairmanship?
Well, I think we're going to focus on the obstacles in front of us and the opportunity in front of us. Lot of things happening with ride sharing and autonomous vehicles, and I think we need to lead the way as dealers in that field.
Yeah, and I know that you just generally as a dealer been very focused on the future and kind of forward leaning into technology. You flattened the sales process at your dealership. Can you talk about that?
We did. It's been 20 years now. When I go on vacation, I always go to competitive dealers, no matter where I go. It drives my wife crazy, but I always go.
On vacation, you're visiting dealerships?
Of course, because
yeah.
I want to see if somebody's doing something better than we're doing it, and I always am looking for ideas. So I would go into these dealerships, and they're intimidating. And you know, I've been doing this 41 years, so I'm pretty comfortable in a dealership. And I thought, wow, if I feel this way, how would your wife or your mother or how would other people feel? So we decided to take a look at it from the perspective of the customer going in and make it more customer friendly. And we flattened our whole sales process. So our salespeople are the salesman, the sales manager, the general sales manager, and the F&I manager. So when a customer comes into the store, they only deal with one person. And that person has the authority to deal from start to finish. And we also did something very unique. We brought the internet in 1996 to the desktop of every technician and every salesperson in our dealership. So we wrote some software where we had every bit of information they need to complete a deal at the desktop. So our selling process, if you came in, you picked out a car, we get you in and out in 30 minutes, washed, gassed, financed, and insured.
That's amazing. Putting the customer at the center of your process.
And they love it.
Yeah.
And they love it.
Peter, you've been at NADA for 5 years now. Lots has changed in the last 5 years. You've talked about making kind of a leaner and meaner NADA. Can you talk about the last 5 years and what you've tried to accomplish?
Well, of course, it's a state organization. We last year celebrated our 100th anniversary, but there's two things. If you don't like change, you don't want to be in the car business, and you don't want to be in the association business. So you always have to innovate. You always have to be looking for new things to do. At the core of it, a trade association is really a tool for our dealer members. And our primary mission has always been advocacy, whether it's before our OEM partners, whether it's before the three branches of government, or whether it's before the courts, and of course the court of public opinion. And so getting the message out, and of course you've been a large part of that since we beefed up our public affairs department. I actually believe that we have the best advocacy team on the Hill in Washington, D.C., and I know we have the best regulatory and legal department when it comes to the auto industry. We have experts, world-class experts right on staff that we're able to really dig down deep into just about any issue that comes up and react in a very rapid fashion.
You've also talked about how it's important for an organization like NADA to focus on its core and to not get distracted by other things. There are things that we can do or that a dealership can do that only they can do, and that's what you've tried to focus on at NADA. Can you talk about that?
Well, of course. We're dealer-centric. Many trade associations are kind of run from the top down to the bottom. Ours is very different. We have a very active board of directors, executive committee. They set the policy and give us the direction, and then we pick up a ball and we run with it. Increasingly, though, our whole dealer operations department, which really doesn't get, it's not the sexy part with the Capitol Hill and, lobbyists and so on. But it's actually our single largest department at the association. We have 87 employees in our dealership operation. And of course, that runs our dealer academy. We'll have graduated our 11,000th academy graduate this year. A good slug of America's franchise new car dealerships are run by NADA Academy grads, and they should all be proud of that. It's a unique program, one of a kind. It's really an occupational licensing, how to run a dealership. And it goes on for an entire year over several weeks with curriculum. We've moved a lot of it online now. Of course, we've got Dealer 20 groups. We're going to be rolling out a new professional series. For folks that can't afford to take the time, the energy, or the expense of coming to the academy, we'll go to them for a week at a time with how to run a parts department, how to run a service department, et cetera, et cetera. So it's exciting.
So advocacy and education. On the advocacy front, Wes, you made a big announcement yesterday here with Chrysler and on the Check to Protect program. Can you talk about that?
Sure. We're partnering with Chrysler, with all the OEMs. So Chrysler is the lead on it with the with NHTSA trying to get the completion rate on recalls done. And so we've got a program called Check to Protect, and it's an icon on hopefully on all dealers' websites. I'm asking everybody out there that's here and listening to get that logo on your website, and it'll take a customer VIN specific. It'll tell them if there are any outstanding recalls on their vehicle, and they can come in and schedule for us. So it's an initiative we're going to roll out across the country. And remember, click it or ticket.
Click it or ticket, yeah.
Same initiative with us. So we're very excited about it. We're behind it at NADA, and we think it's a great service to the consumer.
Yeah, that was a huge public affairs initiative, but this is something that helps consumers, helps dealerships, gets people into the dealership, also helps OEMs with these defective vehicles that they need to get fixed.
It does, because the hardest thing, I think, to get that completion rate higher than 75%, where it kind of hovers around, is just getting consumers to bring the cars in.
Yeah.
We notify, and you get those vehicles changing ownership, and the ownership doesn't quite follow with the current owner. And this is a great way, because consumers are spending so much time on the internet, not just looking for cars, but we schedule our service appointments on the internet. People are on the internet all day long, so we're hoping that those are going to be great visual billboards and to just get consumers more aware that they potentially have a recall that they should get taken care of.
That's great. Your speech today is going to be focused kind of on the future of the industry. Peter, you have a big event coming up this afternoon with Mike Jackson of AutoNation and John Kravchuk of Waymo, the self-driving car company from Uber. What a great event. Can you tell us about what you guys are going to talk about in that event?
Well, we don't want to spoil the surprise.
You can tease it, right?
Yeah, we can tease it a little bit. We're going to have a whole range of discussion. Unfortunately, earlier this week, there was a tragic death involving an Uber autonomous vehicle, and I'm sure that John will have some comments with respect to that as we get into it. But autonomous vehicles are going to come. Nobody has a big enough crystal ball to know whether it's 10 years away, 15 years away, or how it'll integrate into the system. They are running a very full-scale demonstration program down in the Phoenix area. Waymo has, which of course is the Google, it was formerly the Google X program, has one of the most robust programs. They've already put 2.5 million miles real time on real roads out to try to develop artificial intelligence and whatnot. They've teamed up with AutoNation, our single largest dealer member. They've entered into a maintenance and service arrangement with them. Mike Jackson will be joining us on the stage at some point, and we'll discuss that arrangement and how dealers will fit into the autonomous vehicle future.
We had Tom Dahl from Subaru, the president of Subaru Americas, was up here, and he was talking a little bit about, you can't go to an automotive conference these days without hearing about electric, autonomous, and ride sharing, the convergence of those things, how it's going to challenge personal ownership. He doesn't think so. I know you're going to talk about this in your speech a little bit. What are your thoughts on that, Wes?
Well, I think it's just something that's going to happen, but not. I don't think it's going to happen tomorrow, and I don't think it's going to overtake the
autonomous
industry.
Is something that's going to happen.
Yes, it's going to happen. We're already using level 2 autonomous vehicles, and there are a lot of great features. We're getting feedback from our customers that they like adaptive cruise control, they like lane correction, they like blind spot.
And they'll pay for those.
They'll pay for those.
Yeah, exactly.
Within reason.
Yeah.
That's one big concern, fully autonomous vehicles. I've seen the estimates are $4,000 to $5,000 to implement that. Mm-hmm. And boy, our consumers, if they're not affordable for consumers, there's going to be some pushback. And when we're working with a customer, sometimes $10 or $20 a month makes a difference in a payment. And just a rule of thumb on a 60-month contract, $1,000 finance is about $20 a month. So if we're going to look at $5,000, we're looking at $100 a month. I question whether we're going to put those cars on the road unless we figure out how to get it done for less expense.
Mm-hmm. NADA advocates on behalf of local dealerships, but the corollary to that is that when NADA was founded in 1917, it was lobbying against a luxury tax on automobiles, which actually protected our customers as much as it protected dealerships. Now, as president of NADA, your refrain is that we need to keep vehicles affordable for our customers. And that applies to all kinds of advocacy that we do on Capitol Hill. Can you talk about the affordability message?
Well, again, we have to look through the lens of our customers. They're why we exist. There's some 260 million vehicles on the road, all of which were originally sold, and many of them serviced by our members relative to it. And you're right, I mean, the average price of a new car dipped back just under $35,000 a copy. Within the last year, we've seen interest rates creep up. They went from about 4.6%. I believe the average good credit rating is about 5.2% now. The average payment, as Wes has said, has creeped up from around $508 a month up to about $525. I know the Fed just announced this week that they're going to do a couple more rate increases. That'll probably add another 35 basis points or whatever. The average term of a contract has crept up from, I think it was 68 and a half months up to 69 months now. Of course, the vehicles are built much better and they last a lot longer, so the financing term, but it takes longer for them to get back into the dealership. That's why leasing is very popular with respect to them. But the affordability issue manifests itself in many realms. So we're seeing the announcement last week of tariffs. Some of the experts say that could add an average of $300 per car. Again, interest rates are looking at it. Another big policy issue that we'll be grappling with very soon will be the midterm review of the CAFE standards. When these were set in 2011, they set them all the way out to 2025, which is longer than they've ever gone in the past. But they did set up this midterm review, which is this year, and they're going to take a look at it. Of course, they predicted that gasoline would be $4 a gallon now, and that passenger cars would actually go up. Well, passenger cars have actually gone down. Our customers, again, looking through that lens, 64% of the product that they roll, you probably roll more than that, having Jeep and others.
Sure.
But you know, it's trucks, sport utility vehicles, SUVs, vans, and whatnot. 64% of the market. So that blend has really shifted, and the stringency that they tried to look at their crystal ball in 2011 versus where we're going to be today. If they keep the same standard, you know, you use start-stop technology. Hybridization is a great attribute, but you have two propulsion systems in the car. It costs money. And with gas, again, you know, in some parts of the country, it's still only $2 a gallon. People take a look real close. And, you know, a lot of the pundits say, oh, well, you know, you get the cars, they go a lot further and you'll get that money back in fuel savings. But the problem is the banks won't finance a vehicle based on future fuel economy savings with respect to it. They have their parameters in which they write loans and will capitalize them. So it's a complex issue, but we know our customer base. And the other fallacy is, you know, our average customer is not a $100,000 a year, you know, person that's out driving a luxury car. It's more likely a working, maybe single mom that's struggling with a job or two. Hopefully they've got a wage increase with the new tax bill that's been enacted. And you know, we sell as many used cars as we do new cars as well. So we have a product line for everybody, but people have budget constraints, and we have to keep within that.
Wes, oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to add, you know, this role as dealers and in NADA, we're becoming advocates for the consumer, which is something kind of new that when I started in the business 40 years ago, we really didn't do. We were focused really on just on our business. But we're getting feedback from consumers that people making the decisions really aren't hearing for some reason. There's a disconnect between what my customers are saying, what they want, and what the government wants them to have, or Silicon Valley wants them to have. And I find we're just having an increasing role of advocacy because somebody's got to step up and say, nobody's asking for those things. No one wants those things. I don't know why we're talking about electrification. I personally am excited about it, but I don't have anyone asking for it. And the government, it seems to be a really big issue, but if we've got to make sure that we're providing products that consumers want, because we have a lot of small cars on our lot right now. We don't have anyone to buy them. So it's all great, but somebody's got to speak on behalf of the consumer. And I think we're playing an increasing role in that.
That's great. I mean, if the market is moving in one place and the regulators aren't catching up, that presents a whole problem for the marketplace. Wes, you were on the NADA board for a while. You rolled off, then you came back. You've been on the board for about 6 or 7 years, and you're now going to be chairman for 2018. One of the things you first told me when we met was that your favorite part of being on the NADA board was talking to dealers. Can you just talk about that joy that you have of being in a leadership role where you're actually getting to talk to the rank and file?
Well, I mean, I am the guy who goes on vacation and goes and tours other dealerships. Yeah. So, I'm that guy. But no, it's just fun because there are such unique circumstances in every dealer you meet. And wherever you go, when I go out of town, it's just always such a great relationship. You go out of town, nobody ever takes me to a chain restaurant. They always take me to a local place. They know the maitre d', they know the owner, and they say, this is a great place. This guy's owned this restaurant for 25 years. And I'm always I'm confused when some of the OEMs want everybody to look alike and not have a personality. Because the great part about being a dealer is you have that personality. Yeah. And it reflects your community. And it's just fun to see how different people do things differently. And I think we should encourage that. And I understand why we standardize some things, but there are some characters out there, and they provide great services and we learn from those things when you see somebody doing something different or that's exciting or new. So I'm always looking to not reinvent the wheel. I want to steal everyone's greatest ideas, and I want to share those.
Wes Lutz, Peter Welch, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining NADA Live. Continue to tune in on our website, nada.org/live, and on our Facebook page. Thank you for joining this morning, and continue to stay tuned.